Hi everybody, my name is Holger. I'm a geographer and agricultural scientist fascinated by satellite images because they allow us to understand the Earth from the perspective of the space. One can read these images like a book, and I want to share this fascination with you. Now I invite you to our first journey by satellite to the Sahara. When we hear Sahara, we imagine directly sand dunes, camel caravans, and dryness. That's true. But deep under the surface is still remaining water of former times when there was a humid climate. But not only underground, also on the surface, water is visible in the lakes of the Sahara. That's the topic I want to talk about. First, some general data about the Sahara. It has an extension of 9.2 million square kilometers. It rains less than 100 millimeters per year, and there's an ongoing process of desertification. The Sahara Desert has expanded by about 10% since 1920, according to a study by National Science Foundation. This is how the landscape may have looked like before. Nowadays we still can find relicts of colder and more humid periods in the Sahara, as grassland and savanna trees in the mountains, plants of the humid tropics around the rivers and lakes. Some species of mammals and reptiles of more humid climate have survived since the period when elephants and giraffes lived in the Sahara. The humid period began approximately 14,500 years ago due to the northward expansion of the African monsoon. However, around 6,000 years ago, the monsoon retreated to the south. We can see that the lakes during the Green Sahara period were much larger than during the actual desert period. Let's travel now to some of these remaining lakes. A very beautiful and important site is Unyanga in the north of the Chad. It's a group of 18 interconnected lakes in two groups in the hyper-arid Anedi with less than 2 millimeters rainfall per year. The Unyanga region is covering an area of 62,808 hectares, supplied by groundwater, saline water, hypersaline and fresh water. And of course, 10,000 years ago in the humid periods, these group of lakes were much larger. Let's have first a look to the Uninga Kibir. It is 358 hectares large and 27 meters deep. At the southeast we have another lake, the Katan, and a little bit more in direction southeast we have the lake Modro. The largest surface has the lake Teli with 436 hectares, but it's only 10 meters deep. We can see blue, green and reddish waters in reflection of the chemical composition, surrounded by palms, dunes and sandstones. Now we have a look at the Unyanga Kibir Lake. Isn't it a beautiful place with this water surface, the palm trees, and in the background the sandstone plateau, and we have some remaining table mountains which remains from the wind and water erosion because they're harder stones. I find it's a very, very beautiful picture. And now we go to the lake Teli, also a very beautiful look with the palm trees, and in the background again we have this sandstone plateaus and some table mountains remaining from the erosion process. The great thing of these lakes is that their hydrological system is functioning and the water level is stable. The supply comes from fossil water and from the Tibesti Mountains. Let's have a look at the surrounding of the lake. The relief is more or less flat. It's a sandstone plateau around 400 meters altitude. The lakes are located in a depression of 50 to 80 meters below the neighboring level. And as I already explained, those table mountains are remains of wind, aeolic and water hydrological erosion, and they are of harder stones. The relief increases westward and culminates at 3,450 meters, like 11,204 feet, with the trachyte volcano Emikusi, which is the highest summit in the Sahara. The volcano is part of the Tibetan Mountains. They are less than 2 million years old. There are no historical records of eruption at Emikusi, but there is an active thermal area on the southern flank of the volcano. The dark color comes from the pyroclastic material. The surrounding sandstone shows a yellow clear color. We can observe a former hydrological red. It's really impressive to imagine how much water flew from these mountains in former times during the more humid climate. For the circle structure here, I don't have any explanation. Maybe you have. If it's like this, maybe you can write it in a comment. We travel now to the west of the Chad, to the border with Niger, Nigeria and Cameroon, to the famous Chad Lake. Until the middle of the 20th century, Lake Chad was substantially larger, with an area of 28,000 square kilometers. However, due to climate change and human water use, Lake Chad has been greatly reduced since the 1970s. The area has fluctuated between 2,000 and 5,000 square kilometers, so around 10% of its former area. Its average depth is between 0.5 and 2 meters. The lake receives its water by the Shari River, Ngada River and Yobe River. The average annual precipitation in the Lake Chad area is 330 millimeters per year. Marine air mass moves northward during the summer, producing seasonal precipitation. It's one of the major river basins most affected by climate change in the world. Small changes in atmospheric circulation will have a great impact on the rainfall in the Lake Chad basin. What are the main reasons for the shrinkage of Lake Chad? Dry climate due to vegetation loss from overgrazing and deforestation, and large-scale irrigation projects have diverted water from the rivers that feed the lake. But what is the solution people need to eat? The surrounding dense woodland has been converted to open forest with acacias, baobabs and palms. Lake Chad is permanently or seasonally inhabited by hundreds of species of birds such as northern shoveler, Egyptian goose and marabou stork. It is an important wintering ground for European Anatidae and wading birds. There are raptors such as steppe eagles and booted eagles. Mammals like gazelle, African elephant were hunted and replaced by cattle, but there still live around 179 fish species in the Chad Lake. The drying out of the Chad Lake has its effects. It displaced 3 million people and causes tension and fighting between fishers, farmers and livestock farmers. We travel now to the Algerian Sahara, to the Tassili N'Ajjer Mountains, a national park located in the southeast of Algeria near the town Djennet. More specifically to the Aihirir Valley or Wet. It's located at the center of a sandstone plateau and crossed by a large network of fossil valleys. Its altitude varies between 1,400 meters on the plateau and 1,011 meters at the bottom of the valley. It's characterized by rivers, lakes, freshwater springs and underground karst hydrological systems. The bodies of water are sometimes enlarged to small lakes up to 20 meters wide by 100 to 200 meters long. The depth reaches up to 5 or 6 meters. All the bodies are permanently linked to each other by a rivulet. Rainfall is very erratic, about 150 millimeters, 5.9 inches per year, due to the storms resulting from the temporary extension of the intertropical conversion zone into the area. When rain falls, water may flow continuously and wet Ihrir for as long as 6 months. Snow has been recorded several times on the highest nearby mountains. We have favorable conditions for the development of vegetation, such as the drainage of rainwater over long distances on barren rocky soils, clay or granite substrata with water-holding properties on the bottom of the valley. The narrowness of some of these valleys shelters the vegetation from sunlight during a large part of the day. The geographic isolation led to extraordinary evolutive phenomena. Adaptation to the desertification of the zone, it includes a very scattered woodland of endangered endemic species of Sahara cypress and Saharan myrtle in the higher eastern part. The Tassili cypress is one of the oldest trees in the world. The deltas near Ihrir are flanked by oleanders and French tamarisks, abundant along the riverbed. Relict populations of the West African crocodile persisted in the Tassili Niger until the 20th century. Various other fauna still reside on the plateau, including Barbary sheep, the only surviving type of the larger mammals depicted in the rock paintings of the area. Notable animals include jungle cats and sand cats, cheetah, gazelle dorcas, lizards, snakes, and 4 fish species. The Ihrir constitutes an important stopover for birds on the migration route across the Sahara. It is so important that it is considered a wetland of global interest by the Ramsar Convention, including an area of 6,500 hectares. People living in the valley has been continuously over 1,000 during the 20th century. The Tuareg people live in terraces above the valley ground and cultivate palm nuts, figs, grapes, wheat and vegetables. Camels, cattle and goats are grazed, and fishing from the wells is also significant. There's also some tourism associated with one of the most important groupings of prehistoric cave art in the world, about the first human inhabitants in the Sahara Desert. The archaeological site has been designated a national park, a biosphere reserve of cypresses, and was inducted into the UNESCO World Heritage since 1983 as Tassili Niger National Park. Now the big question is, could the Sahara be green again? The pleasant answer is yes. It is projected to happen again about 10,000 years. But what scientists can't predict is how greenhouse gases will affect this natural climate cycle. I hope you have liked the video. If that's the case, please press the like button. The next video will be about the biggest glaciers in the world. Friends, we see us soon. Until then, I wish you a great time.